from the MZ Studios Dallas virtual studios in cyberspace. This is Deconstructing Dallas. Greetings, everyone. This is your host, Ryan Trimble, joined once again by a man who, like me, has 2 ears and 1 mouth. He, of course, Shawn P. Williams. Shawn, good day, sir.
Good day, Ryan. It is good to join you again for our podcast, but it's good to join you for our new series. And, you know, I'm glad that people are listening because on our social media platforms, we've gotten some really good feedback, and folks who, even from our first episode with Father Josh, have told us they're listening and want us to keep continuing with this. So, now I appreciate it.
Well, Shawn, I am one who likes to bring a smile to people's faces, as you know.
Of course, I know, and you bring a smile to my face.
Well, thank you. Well, this story will absolutely bring a smile to your face, and you'll laugh. So, on our first installment of this special series, I proclaimed that I pledged even that I was going to do a lot more listening, and the night before we recorded, I'd been reading and trying to, learn as much as I can and seek out some voices that, I thought would help me explain my feelings, maybe. I don't know. But I found 2 articles that I thought I liked. And so I had mentioned it to Shawn before we were recording. And so I thought it would be prudent to send those to Shawn, and Shawn was going to toss me a bouquet back my direction and say, yes, this is a guy who gets it. This guy, I'm just so glad that he listens and understands everything about the situation. Shawn was quick to write back with some thoughtful critiques, some positive, some not, some that he disagreed with, and I was kind of surprised, but I'm glad now because I realize that, like a lot of people's probably grandparents or mom and dad once told them, you have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. So now, cyberspace, I am really pledging to listen, and I will close my mouth and listen to you, Shawn. So thank you for the opportunity again to be a part of the series.
I think there's a couple of things there. Like, the first thing is, when you sent the articles, it was Tuesday, and we were still like way in the middle. It was still really hot, and like there were a lot of people that got that kind of response to emails and to tweets and Facebook messages, and so I think probably that, because I went back and looked at it, and it was a pretty robust response that I sent to you. Just making sure that you knew exactly how I felt about it.
Yeah, now I'm glad, because it made me realize that, look, everybody's got their thoughts and everybody's got opinions on this matter, but you are somebody who, I don't know, for the better part of 14 years, you've been blogging and really focused at a level that I haven't been at on the issues that we're dealing with today. And so, I in retrospect, I'm grateful that you shot that back, and you and I, we're from 2 different places and 2 different thoughts, but man, we come together and we have discussions, and I think that's what we're doing here. And what I found is that we agree a whole heck of a lot more than we've ever disagreed. So,
and one thing that started, and it started there, and probably even a little bit before you were sharing emails, is I've really been looking at statements that have been released, and there's frustrations for me when folks are releasing statements. Number one, I think it's okay if people want to try to make a statement related to the death of George Floyd, but how, and we're a PR firm, and so I'm really looking specifically at how individuals are releasing their statements and how brands are releasing statements, and there are some, and we've talked about some. I mean, one statement that I tweeted and shared on my Twitter feed was a statement by former President George W. Bush. The statement that he made about what he and his wife, former First Lady Laura Bush, felt about the death of George Floyd and the injustices that African Americans have faced. And, one thing specifically that jumped out at me in his statement is that he listed Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King and called them heroes of unity, and his was a long statement. Every statement doesn't have to be as long and thought out because this is a very long, thoughtful, and spot on statement. But, every statement doesn't have to be like that. But that's been something I know that you and I have been talking about and our colleagues have been talking about and some of our clients have even been wrestling with.
Yeah, it was funny because you sent me your robust reply and then, several hours later you reply again with, I think we should discuss the George W. Bush response. And I'm like, man, I am definitely in listening mode now. So, and it's funny because in the first paragraph of President Bush's and Mrs. Bush, the former SMU great that she is, in their letter, it says, we've resisted the urge to speak out because this is not the time for us, a former president of the United States and a former first lady. It's not time for us to lecture. It's time for us to listen. So as I consider myself, cut from this cloth and worked for a lot of folks and have a lot of friends that are Bush people. And so I'm going to listen to this guy and this fantastic former first lady and listen.
Well, one person that I want us to listen to is our upcoming guest, who is Bishop Omar Jahwar. And I've worked with Bishop for a long time. We go way back to the Bilal Center in South Dallas for any of our listeners who may go back that far. And Bishop Omar is now leading a group. He founded an organization called Urban Specialists, and they work with folks from the community to help them go back in the community to help solve some of the conflicts and challenges that we have. And not only that, but he's done a lot of work with a lot of people who we would consider across the aisle or on different sides of the aisle on issues. And I think that's another compelling piece of his work. So I'm really excited about the conversation we're about to have.
Yeah, I've always heard of the work of Bishop Omar, and I thought it was interesting. We're going to get into a recent editorial that he and Brian Hooks wrote for the USA Today. I believe it was Tuesday, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hooks, of course, the CEO of Stand Together, which is founded by Charles Koch. So it's he's an interesting guy. He kind of takes all comers and has been doing it for a long time. So excited to jump into the interview today.
Well, when we get back, we are going to talk with Bishop Omar Jahwar here on Deconstructing Dallas with our special series, Where Do We Go From Here? So hang with us through the break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, Deconstructing Dallas, Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. Shawn, I'm excited to be joined today by our guest. He, of course, Bishop Omar Jahwar, founder of Urban Specialists, headquartered right here in Dallas, Texas. Bishop, welcome to the show.
It is so wonderful to be on the show. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Now, you are somebody who's been doing it for a long time here in Dallas. But for our listeners that aren't familiar with you and your work, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and then share with us, if you will, a little bit about Urban Specialists.
Well, I'm from Dallas. I'm born and bred right here, man. Went to Jan Irvin School, went to, Hutch #1, #2. Yeah, people don't know what that means. But anyway, bottom line is I'm Dallas bred, man. South Dallas is my stomping ground. And, we've been working in this area of violence reduction. Had a company called Vision Regeneration, but we've been working in this area for about 30 years. I was the first gang specialist hired by the state of Texas and other things. So I've been in that space of figuring out how do we bring peace to our nation through OGs, through individuals who have been, in my mind, the varsity team, the ones that carry that idea of violence and really just not violence, but carry the underground citizenship that we need them to come above ground so they can be accounted for. So that's been the work that I've done around the nation. But Dallas has been where we had root, and now we have urban specialists and OGU, and you can look at all of that stuff. If you go to Omar Jahwar, Jahwar, OmarJahwar.com, and it'll link you to all the stuff that we're doing. So I'm just, I'm a proud Dallasite.
And, Bishop, we wanted to jump this conversation off regarding racism and get your thoughts. But, the killing of George Floyd really has precipitated a lot of what we've seen recently. But I wanted to ask you personally, did you watch the video of Ahmaud Arbery? Did you watch the video of the killing of George Floyd? And I'd be interested in your personal thoughts just on the feelings you got if you looked at that.
Yeah, Shawn, man, I watched both of those. And by the way, I know Shawn too. Shawn, I know Shawn from Spirit Group. Don't even worry about that. Y'all don't know what that is. But look it up, you'll understand that Shawn is a multi-talented individual. But Shawn, on the real, man, yeah, I saw it, and it was disgusting. It was suffocating. It reminded me of every horrible thing that we've thought about when we thought about America. See, a lot of people don't understand, man. When I saw this brother lifeless before his life was ending, saying they are going to kill me, that I can't breathe, and my body hurts, to my mom, I saw them hunt down Ahmaud Arbery like he was a deer, like he was game. I saw it, man. And, there's no words. There's no words, my brother, because that you conjure up the spirits that you've been trying to exercise out of yourself for a long time. Some demons in us that we try to hide, but they still in there. That demon that feels like that for some reason we are the ones that don't really belong in this, melting pot, so-called, in America. And it reminds you of why you do the work. And then it throws you back into systemic racism, throws you into individual, bigotry. It throws you into protectionist mode. Then you get into rage. So I was going through all those emotions like every person, cause, George Floyd looked like my big brother, like my uncle. Ahmaud Arbery looked like my son. So it's it's not a joke. It's not hashtag to me, it's real. And then my work is with George Floyd. That's who I work with. I have hundreds of brothers who are that may have some blemishes. God is not calling for perfect individuals. He's calling for folks who will stand up. So, and who have issues and all of that. So all of that, man, made me think, and I was holding my breath, hoping that this would end differently. But the spark that it set off was a righteous fire, even though even righteous fires have to be tamed because they can become destructive and violent. But it made me realize that we are, that maybe this spark is what we need to really burn down some systemic biases that we've had to live through.
Now, Bishop, I wanted to get back to a word that kept popping up when I was getting ready for our interview today. It's something that really stuck with me. My dad was my little league coach. We grew up. I was really blessed. He worked a couple jobs. My mom was always working, sent us to good schools because the school in our neighborhood wasn't great. But I played little league with a bunch of kids that weren't as lucky to go to a great school and probably had some run-in with gang activity. And so I remember that my dad once said, just remember, you're not any better than these guys. You just had opportunities. You just have opportunities to, make yourself better and educate yourself. And so I really want you to take advantage. I just wanted to discuss that word with you because it keeps popping up, and it seems like, that is part of your mission, and your mantra is providing opportunities for people who may not have them or may not be given because of past blemishes. Can you explain to us what that word means to you?
Yeah, the idea of opportunity is